Do-Rag Wisdom here, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Y2K 19.10.30, day before Halloween. This is President Obama on my shirt, one of my t-shirts, and in the background you hear the music of Bear McCreary, his music score for the 4th season of Battlestar Galactica, the remake. First of all, I want to drink to all my, this is tequila, and I want to give you all a toast. Thank you very much for subscribing to me and for passing the word along. I promise you that I'll give you as much truth as I can, as much accuracy as I can, but I know that you're out there to let me know if I didn't. L'chaim, Salantia, and Los Olvidados, which means to the lost and the forgotten. As I get older and older, I keep thinking back on the old days when I was like a kid. And I remember I used to go to the couple of these neighborhood movie theaters, the Campus and the Huntley. Huntley was on Hollywood Boulevard, and the Campus was located at Vermont Avenue at Santa Monica Boulevard, right across the street from Los Angeles City College, a community college. I think Jerry Goldsmith may have gone there for a while, one of my favorite musical composers. And I saw many good movies at that theater, including The Time Machine, which has always been one of my favorites, with Rod Taylor, Yvette Mignoux. And then I saw West Side Story there. When I was 12, I saw a double feature of The Manchurian Candidate and Requiem for a Heavyweight. I love both of those movies. Just 12 years old, two black and whites. And then the Manchurian Candidate really affected me. And I actually took my parents. I said, you got to go see these movies. And I went with them to actually see both movies again. Of course, The Manchurian Candidate. Frank Sinatra, Janet Leigh, Lawrence Harvey, who played Sergeant Shaw. The brainwashed killer who went around, you just had to play solitaire, and he would go out and get hypnotized and he would kill. They made a wonderful remake with Denzel Washington that was directed by the late and great Jonathan Demme, Manchurian Candidate. That is worth seeing too. I have both in my collection. It really impressed me, that movie. Frightened me and kind of disturbed me. Raymond Shaw in the original was going around killing people, assassinating people, and he's supposed to assassinate the presidential candidate, because his vice presidential candidate is working for the Russians, the Soviets. Later on in 1963, there was a show called The Outer Limits, and the second episode, I saw this when I was 13, the second episode was called 100 Years of the Dragon, like 1963. And this one had to do with a presidential candidate who'd been replaced by an Asian dictatorship in an assassination. The original guy is murdered, and then they have this technology where they put this thing on your face, and they put a shot in your arm, like an injection, and they go, and it changes your face so you look, makes your face mold. You can mold your face to make it be the way you want, like, ugly like this. And they made this imposter look exactly like the dead presidential candidate, and he becomes president. That's the original Outer Limits. I want to repeat, 1963, 100 Years of the Dragon. And then, of course, I was reading 1984. That along with my love of the movies, and good movies, I hope, and reading 1984 when I was in like the 9th grade. Never forgot that. It changed my life, so to speak. Been reading that ever since. So here we are today. And I have to say, that thanks to these movies that I saw, these works of art, good movies, and I want to and thank the goddess that I read 1984, that I saw a movie like Invasion of the Body Snatchers 1956. Love the remakes too, because I always had this part of me that said don't join cults, and I almost did. And I flirted with that you should have worship some leader, that you should subsume your individuality to this leader. I am glad that I was exposed to the Manchurian Candidate, to 100 Years of the Dragon, to Invasion of the Body Snatchers, to 1984. I'm glad that I was exposed to the idea that totalitarian systems can come in, take over, destroy us, especially if we're not careful, not ignorant, and awake. And I don't mean woke, I mean awake. So here we are today. The Moscowvian candidate Trump, who's doing everything he's supposed to do for his masters, run by Putin in Moscow. Destroying our image in the world, making us look like we're going to betray people at every step, abandoning the Kurds, giving over that territory, that country, to the Russians, to Turkey. Trump praising dictators, not separating himself from white supremacist extremists, using language that is beyond totalitarian, and everything he's doing is right out of 1984. His doublethink, his revision of history. And don't get me wrong, folks, this is not the Republican Party that I grew up with. And I'm not saying they were perfect, but this is not them. They've been hijacked. This is a party that should actually encourage the likes of William Weld, who I wouldn't vote for, but he is still a more valid candidate than what these Trumpists have now. So I don't want to sit here and downgrade the Republican Party, the party of Lincoln, the party of Roosevelt, the party of Eisenhower. I don't want to downgrade that party. Downgrade people who are conservative, people who believe in fiscal restraint and less government and individual responsibility, but are not necessarily going to be snooping into your bedrooms or stopping you from having an abortion. I know there are intelligent and conservatives out there like George Will, like Steve Schmidt, like Nicole Wallace, like Max Boot, and beyond. We have a country that together, these right-wingers, moderate right-wingers, and moderate left-wingers, whatever you want to call them, we can all get together and maybe create a country where we really do have a pursuit of happiness and harmony and wisdom, respect for our environment. In the meantime, however, thanks to these movies and books that I was exposed to, I know what we have in our office right now. I know we have an enemy in there right now. A Moscowvian candidate. Wow. The horror of it. The horror. The horror. You and I, the rest of the sensitive people in this country, can get together, vote against this creep, and understand, of course, that even after he's impeached, these Trumpists are going to allow him to skip, and he's going to pound his chest like the naked, stinking ape that he is. Think he got away with it? And you and I, if we have to deal with that he'll still be in office, touting himself, We gotta fight. We gotta do these protests, nonviolent protests, civil disobedience, all the time, 24 hours a day. And we have to vote, 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 vote. If I hadn't been exposed to that art, the movie, the literature, I wouldn't be thinking today about this creep, what he's doing to our country and the threat that he's posing. We have an enemy of our country in the Oval Office. What a movie that is. I hope that my brother out in Santa Clarita, near the tick fire, I hope that he did not have to evacuate, and I hope that their home has not been destroyed. And that goes for California in general. Great, wonderful, beautiful state, the redwood forest, the deserts, Death Valley, the oceans, the mountains. Governor Newsom, California, I hope you stay alive.